Hey, crypto traders and investors, it's Rod with Powell Group. Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ Stocks, crypto assets, news and interviews. Today is Sunday. It's May 4th. May the 4th be with you. Rapid fire news update. This time it's going to be for the period April 26th to May 2nd. And again, it's just a high level overview in case you missed it, and you can dive into it more in your own time. It was a bit lighter on the news this week, so we should have this video somewhere around the 10-minute mark, I would think. But before we get to it, make sure to smash the like, help support me in the channel. If you're new, you can subscribe, tick the bell. And I do these videos every single week, so you'll be notified whenever I post new content as well. But as always, this is not financial advice. It's for entertainment and informational purposes only. You can follow us over on X as well, formerly Twitter. Handle for that is @GroupPow. Going to be using that as my platform of choice going forward. Jumping right into the news, we have MasterCard launching their own global stablecoin payment system, and they're going to be supporting wallets, cards, merchant settlements, and on-chain remittances. So we're starting to go mainstream. We've got some information coming in just a second. I think it was less than 7% of the global population own crypto. So you can kind of compare this to like the early 90s of the internet, right? This is the internet of value versus the internet of information. And we're basically coming up on the .com boom days in the crypto space, right? We're at that kind of timing with regards to the growth curve and mass adoption. So over the next 5 to 10 years, I think it's going to happen a lot sooner than that, though. Like, it'll condense what happened in 5 years or in 10 years in just a couple of years, in my opinion, just because of the fact that, technology moves at breakneck speed, and we already have the technology to augment it, right? So it's going to be interesting. And then you couple it with AI, right? The possibilities are endless. Also, the UK this is exciting, announcing draft rules for crypto industry. And this happens right around the same time that the US is working on legislation as well. And this touts greater collaboration with the United States. So this is huge. They have a plan for regulatory regime for crypto assets. And again, if that's happening, we're more than likely going to see the US follow suit. Again, the US is never first, they're never last. They don't need to be first because they have the biggest economy in the world. They'll leapfrog everybody else once they decide to embrace it full force, right? So I think it's going to be an interesting few months ahead, especially with stablecoin legislation potentially due by the end of August, so before August recess. And then we could even see market structure bill where we have the clear rules of the road defined, and then what's a commodity, what's a security, etc. And like I said, stablecoin regulation as well. So things are about to get extremely interesting. Also, the SEC has dropped its investigation into PayPal stablecoin, PYUSD, as they continue to just, kind of rid of all the nonsense that was left over at this ridiculous agency, and finally getting cleaned out. So love to see it. Also, Ripple is reportedly planning to raise its takeover bid for Circle, which is the issuer of USDC stablecoin. They're apparently potentially raising that offer to $20 billion after their initial $5 billion offer was declined. So we'll see what happens here. I would say there's a pretty solid chance. When it first broke, I didn't think that it was, I really didn't think it was going to happen. And then, now that we're continuing, it's apparently the deal is progressing. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, this is just, backdoor deals are still going on, and we don't have all the information yet. But I would probably put this at a better than average chance of passing. So we'll just continue to keep tabs on it. But if this ends up happening, good luck everybody else. Ripple is going to absolutely dominate. It'll be as if it's not already the clear leader in terms of infrastructure company in the space, and then XRP being the clear winner in terms of utility and digital assets. I think Ripple, I've said it many times, Ripple will become the most valuable company on the planet. It will be bigger than Tesla. It will be bigger than Amazon. It will be bigger than Apple. And XRP will be the number one valuable digital asset, in my opinion. And I'm very confident of that. Also, Warren Buffett says it might be a good idea to own a lot of other currencies besides the US dollar. So tell me you're talking about crypto without talking about crypto, right? So there's speculation that he could be referring to cryptocurrencies, but it could also be like the yen or the euro, the Canadian dollar, right? We know that the Canadian dollar right now is very weak comparative to the US dollar, so it might not be a bad idea to kind of hedge some of that risk, because if the US dollar were to lose a bit of strength, which is very possible, right? Nothing goes in a straight line forever and everything ebbs and flows. So he could be talking just about other global currencies as well. And I would assume crypto is probably in there as well. And he's actually going to be stepping down as the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway. So that's an end of an era for sure. And we'll see what happens here. I'm not too hopeful of the stock market in 2026. And if he's no longer at the helm, they might have a reason to crash like if the stock market crashes, they'll have a reason to say, oh, it's not Warren Buffett's fault anymore, right? It's somebody else who's in charge that doesn't know what they're doing and losing all their money. So we'll see what happens, but I do think that 2026 is going to be a pretty bad year for the stock market. So yeah, fun fact, less than 7% of the global population is invested in crypto as per Watcher Guru. This was posted just a few hours ago. So it really, puts it into perspective how early we are. It's 2025. We're over a decade now into this, but I think, like I said, over the next couple of years, this space is going to be transformed and it won't even be recognizable comparative to what it is today. And we're really about to hit that point in that inflection point where the whole population is going to come online. Like you're going to see this go from like 7% to 20 or 30% in, I would say, probably just a matter of a few months. Like once the banks really, and we know that the banks have been greenlit, essentially they've been given the go ahead now and clarity that they need to engage in activity with digital assets, right? So again, once all the money, once where, all the money is pooled and you're tapping into that, you're tapping into the existing traditional finance system. It's literally the analogy of a floodgate opening up, and that's what's going to happen. And it's exciting. Also, Swiss National Bank has rejected a Bitcoin reserve proposal. So this is something we've been seeing a lot lately. There's actually some news with regards to, I think it was North Carolina, that actually approved it. So in terms of not being approved, SEC delays Franklin Spot ETF, and that's going to be until about June. And it's not just XRP as well. We're seeing that with a bunch of other ETFs as well. But essentially, they have until October. There's a good chance that it passes. I think that they accept the applications. I think that they're going to approve them more than likely in the next quarter or two. But I think it makes a lot of sense that we get it done by June. We're more than likely going to see stablecoin legislation and clearer rules of the road in the US established, the UK as well, which we mentioned earlier. So these are all aligning around the same time. And we could be in store for some fireworks here in the next couple of months. Also, the US SEC approves ProShares Trust's XRP futures ETFs. So again, as we've been saying, the futures ETFs usually get approved first, and they're just starting to go live now. So it makes sense that they delay the actual spot ETFs because the futures are still going live, and you want to have some sort of historical data. You want to see that the futures have been operating for a while now. There's some sort of price history, and they can use that before they approve the spot ETFs. Same thing happened with Bitcoin. Same thing happened with Ethereum, right? So here it is here. North Carolina Senate just passed a strategic Bitcoin reserve bill. So I don't think this is a good idea. I mean, obviously, it depends on the minutia. Like, are they gonna buy it now? Or are they gonna dollar cost average? Are they gonna wait for a bit of a pullback? Are they gonna buy it and hold it for X amount of years? There's so many details that we'll have to find out. But buying something at an all-time high just doesn't sit well with me. And I think it was Wall Street Bets that said, imagine if Satoshi Nakamoto's plan all along was to get all of the governments owning Bitcoin and then rug pull them all. Imagine if, he came out and he or she came out and just completely sold all of the Bitcoin that is in the Satoshi wallet and just rug pull everyone and, kind of make it known who it is. I don't know if we'll ever know who it is, but yeah, we'll see what happens here. It could be an interesting theory. I don't think that's the most likely scenario, but it's funny how in the early days, Bitcoin was down with the banks, down with government, and now it's banks and government are getting involved, and everybody loves it. So kind of a funny way of just watching it all unfold, right? Riot Platforms, they boosted their Bitcoin production. by 12% in Q1 2025, and they now hold 19,223 Bitcoin. Nowhere near a Michael Saylor, but he recently added as well. I think that's just ludicrous. That guy's either going to be zero or hero. We'll see what happens. He could either be the richest man in the world or the biggest loser, which he was the biggest loser in the .com days, the boom and bust. Lost billions, so we'll see what happens here. But Riot's actually an interesting stock at the moment too. The price is pretty attractive, and if we start to see Bitcoin gain momentum, I think we're going to see Bitcoin somewhere around 100K plus very, very soon. Somewhere around that 120, 140K I think is possible before the end of this cycle, and then that should bode well for a name like Riot. And like I said, keep an eye on Riot stock. Again, not telling you to buy, sell, or hold, but we could see a big move coming there. In terms of Riot. Hive as well. I was looking at the Hive chart, and it's looking pretty decent. We also had a POW Algo buy alert go off on Hive. Is the Ripple versus SEC case about to end? Ripple co-founder to meet SEC chair. So this was back on, according to a May 2nd X post. So Chris Larsen, co-founder and executive chairman of Ripple, was expected to meet with SEC commissioner, the new commissioner, Paul Atkins. So we'll see what happens. I haven't heard anything more than that. Even on the day of, there was a lot of people asking on X, did it even happen? So I haven't heard anything more from it, but I do think that we should see the case wrap up at some point in the next couple of months. We'll get an official statement from the SEC. Also, Apple is permitting crypto app payments via an external site after a court order. So again, we're seeing the industry cross a chasm, right? We're seeing a complete sea change, like from regards to regulatory and clear rules of the road, but also you're starting to see this go mainstream, right? You're going to see Apple, all of these companies that operate in hundreds of countries. They have to deal with all these different payment systems and fees and whatnot. It's going to be much easier when these companies adopt blockchain and cryptocurrencies, because it's going to be fractions of the cost, and it's going to be done much faster. And you're going to have companies like Ripple who have all of the infrastructure already built, and they'll just tap into that, right? And then look at stablecoins. Stablecoins are also going to help boost these fiat currencies, because when you buy the US dollar, stablecoins, right, they have to hold T-bills, they have to hold cash and cash equivalents to meet that demand and that interest in those inflows, right? So it's effectively boosting the value of the dollar, right? And these other stable coins that are pegged to, you're going to see the euro, you're going to see a stable coin for the yen, right? It's going to be, every major currency is going to have one, if not every currency. And all the governments, they're going to have their own private, right? They're going to have their CBDCs, they're going to have their private chains. But I think, most of the countries, especially the big ones like the UK, I would say probably the UK, Canada, and the US, I think they'll leave it up to the private industry. I don't think they're going to have CBDCs, and we're actually seeing under the new administration in the US, under the Trump administration, saying that he will never let a CBDC happen in the US, right? So I do think that they're going to rely on the private sector a lot more, which is usually what they've done for most things in the past, right? Especially the internet. All right, let me know what you think of this news in the comments section below. We'll continue the conversation there. It's Rod with POW Group. Thanks again for joining us in the Pursuit of Wealth. Happy Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll catch you on the next video.